Hello and welcome to another episode of the Young Tongues podcast. My name is Barbara Fountain and I am the founder and CEO of the Young Tongues, a charity that supports young tongue cancer patients across the world. And with me, as always, my fabulous co-host, Jamie. We are back from summer. We had a little hiatus. How are you, my lovely?
Hi, I am doing so good today. It's a good day, and I'm happy to get back into a schedule. I feel like summer, it's nice, but it's hard not to have a routine. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. So at this point, we have to apologise to our listeners. We were planning on coming back a bit earlier, but had what shall I say? Some stuff happen that held us, that just prevented us from recording an episode. And you will learn all about this in just a moment. But yes, we had a 3 weeks break, but we're now back on schedule, and we've got some really exciting episodes coming for you that we've already recorded. But firstly, Jamie, how has your summer been?
Eventful. Okay. So we're back to school, and yeah, we started school like kind of in summertime. We started in August. I don't know if it's the same where you're at, but like we're in school and it's like 100 degrees here. So that means I go back to work too, because I am a special education teacher at my kids' school. So I go for a couple hours and come back. So summer's done. We're getting back into a routine. But also in this time in Southern California, it's fire season. That sounds like a festival. I'm always like, oh, fire season. No, we live right in it. And if you are in California, you know about this area where there's normally these wildfires that happen. And this one just happened. I think it's only been like 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks today. It happened on a Tuesday since it happened. And we got evacuated from our home. The fire was coming down our hill. And we've been through lots of like, oh, we can see it from far away, but I've never had it like coming over our hill. And so the cops came down our street and they were like on their, I think I posted something on Instagram where they were on their loudspeakers. They're like, evacuate now if you want to get out. And I live in a gated community. There's only one way in and one way out. So everybody was like, quick, women and children. And I don't know if you know this, but I have a zoo. So not only did I have to pack for me, my kids, I had to pack my 2 large dogs that weigh like over 100 pounds, the cats, and then I have a lizard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my husband didn't care about any of that. He was like, my baseball cards, quick, we gotta go through which ones. Yeah, no joke. No joke. He was like, I'm staying. The cops came down our hill. Because they were like, they have the airplanes going and they drop like the pink stuff. And then we have a golf course, and they were the helicopters were coming down and scooping up water from the golf course lakes. I mean, it was cool to watch, but it was like in our backyard, like, oh.
Yeah, scary, huh?
Yeah. And the kids were like, oh my God. They still kept the kids in school. And the kids are like, it looks like a volcano. It was coming down the mountain. It looked like in Moana, like how the flames were all coming up, and like they were like, it looked like hands like coming down a mountain. Anyway, so the kids were in school watching flames, like, oh, that's where my house is. So I pulled my kids out of school early, and I was like, you just need to pack what you think is important and sit on the stairs and wait for instructions. And they packed like a video game console, and that was it. So I bet, but their dad did.
Priorities.
Exactly. They were like, I got my Switch, I'm good. But their dad filled up his car with baseball cards. No joke. Like, hand to God, he filled up the car with baseball cards. Oh, we're going to hear some barking. Filled up the car with baseball cards, and he said, I'm going to stay at the house until the very last second. So I packed up the zoo, and we drove to my parents' house, which they live in Palm Springs. So it's kind of like a nice resort place. But I brought all of my animals to their house, and the freaking lizard, I was like, you know what, John, maybe you should just keep the lizard. Nope. I look like a crazy lady, like, driving down the highway with a lizard on my shoulder, and I got the dog, the kids, like, I could
Brilliant.
oh my gosh, I couldn't do and, oh, Barbara, when I tell you, I was like I've had, like, those moments dealing with cancer, you have a lot of moments where you think about, like, who you are, what have you become, like, what your life is. That moment of me driving down the highway with a damn lizard, a bearded dragon, and then, like, a giant Labrador sitting in the front, and then oh my god, it was like, "What? What did I" oh, and the cats. Oh, the cats just screaming, you'll probably hear them. I was like, "What have I become?" I become the hoarder of animals and oh, I had a moment.
Oh, oh, bless you. But also so scary,
Yeah.
in that moment. And we know how much work you've put into your house over the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all followed it on Instagram, the whole
Yeah. When we
upgrading
yeah, we
and
did so much to this house. Yeah, it was all because it was during my cancer treatment. What it was during the cancer treatment when I had to do our whole house, like, flooded, like, we had water 4 feet. So we gutted everything in the bottom. Yeah, so we had water, then we have fire. What's gonna be next? Well, and we had earthquakes that week too.
oh, brilliant, the Holy Trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it was
just
very, like, apocalyptic, like yeah, but so we got
that's
out
stressful.
and we were only out for a couple days until, like they have this app now that you can, like, follow, and so the authorities, like, text you and you can see the map of the fire, and there was, like, 0 containment for, like, I wanna say, like, at least a week. They couldn't get any of it out, and there were 3 big fires going. So by,
Mm.
like, day 3, I was like, "Can we come back? Because this is a lot at my parents' house and the kids, and we were missing school." So we made it back. John stayed the whole time. He was like, "No, mom." He was outside. So, like, when you live in fire country, you just get a hose out and you hose down your whole house. You just keep,
Just keep it all damp.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "All right, can't wait to get that bill." So we're like this. And then if your house doesn't have, like, the tile roof, the firefighters won't save that house. So go to your house that has a tile. So our neighbors were like, "Good thing we just changed our roof, like, last year because they would've let our house burn and saved the other houses because not up to code or what like, you can't have wood on your house, like, on this roof."
Yeah.
So, we made it home and, yeah, they seem to got it under control. You can still smell smoke over here, but I've never been that close. That was our closest scare. And then the
Mhm.
earthquakes were like, "Huh, what's next?" Or, "Oh, that one was only a 4.0. Small."
Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
Well, but at least before that, you had a nice summer because we were texting and you were camping, and I was like, "Oh God, what have they done to you?"
I'm telling you, like, I'm like, "Who am I becoming?" I've never been fishing so much in my life. I've never, like, had to start, like, a fire, like, I never even put, like, charcoal in, like, a barbecue, like so we went to Big Bear, which is also where a big fire was. So we left Big Bear, and then that fire happened, like, right after. So all the places we went to, they're all gone now. That was really
Oh.
sad. Yeah, where we were camping. But okay, so I went on 2 camping trips this summer. I did not go to any fabulous hotel. That's sad. But something did come across my Instagram, and it is a Star Wars glamping experience. And I was like, "Where was this, like, a month ago?" So if I do go camping again, it will be Star Wars
Star Wars
glamping.
glamping.
Yeah, I was like, I'm on this, like, what a missed opportunity, but it will happen. So
Amazing.
that's my summer all wrapped in a bow with fireworks and earthquakes. But you had a more relaxing summer from every time you post that you're in that damn lake. I'm like, "Oh, I cannonball in there." So
Yeah, no, I
sweet.
had it was so lovely. It's so lush. Yeah, and I've got loads of footage that I haven't,
Oh,
like, put up yet. So, on my stories, I kept up to date with what I was doing, but I'm working at the moment on the most amazing reel.
oh my gosh.
And
It looks
and,
like a
like a re
picture. It's like a painting. Like, I don't
y
is that, like,
you
off the side of the road and you can just get in there?
Yeah, 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 it's incredible. So for anyone listening who doesn't know, I'm dual national. I was born and brought up in Switzerland. I know I sound very English. And I moved over here to England when I was 20. My dad is Welsh, so I was brought up bilingual anyhow. So and I got rid of the German accent quite a while ago. So there you go. That's for your amusement. Yeah. But yeah, since the cancer, really, I go home more regularly. This is not a thing I did before. And I think this year I had that realization of, I don't know. Last year, I already went last year for a month, which turned into 7 weeks because I hurt my leg. But yeah, I had some really profound moments last year and again this year. And it's led to a lot of soul searching. And basically, I am so privileged that I was born in one of the most beautiful places on earth. And, when you're born into those places, you don't really see it. You're
No,
just like, yeah,
totally.
okay. Yeah, mountains, lakes, whatever. It's rural. And so I was quite rebellious as well growing up. And I always wanted to escape and, get to the city and do stuff or whatever. I don't know. And also, culturally, I'm a bit different where I just never felt like I fitted in because it's quite, um, back in the day at least, it was quite Catholic. I was
Oh,
brought up Catholic. Yeah, but not on an American level. It's on a
okay.
European level. Two different ways, yeah, right. But still, I always felt like life was quite limiting, and maybe that's not quite a fair assessment now, seeing what all my friends are doing who went to school with me. Everyone's found their own way, and there's definitely also a generational shift. Like we're millennials, we're the first ones that kind of just go and do what the fuck they want. Whereas
Totally.
people beforehand, yeah, we're a bit more sort of trapped in the boxes, I guess. But one of the things that really made me leave was the fact that I've always been very creative. My first career of being a musical performer didn't work out, and I didn't quite know how to cope with that, moving back to a small village and everyone having the expectations. Um, and then also, unlucky in love and all of that, boy drama. And I just, even my best friends were like, when I said, I think I need to go, they said like, yeah, we think you need to go. You need to go and find yourself
Oh,
and do your
wow.
own thing. And so when I left, I didn't go home very often because I couldn't afford it because I was skint because I started from scratch with nothing. My parents did support me a bit later on, but in the beginning they were like, "Come back and do an apprentice. Like, why are you going off?" sort of thing. So they weren't really supportive in that way, but that was a good thing because I needed to grow up and I needed to learn about money and worth and what it was I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Um, but that also meant that I didn't go home very often because of the money, but also I think psychologically because going home was so difficult because I never really wanted to leave. It was the leaving
Mm.
part to come back to the UK. I mean, I remember how heartbreaking it would be because I never knew when I would come back again, but always knew I would come back.
It's just hard to
And
leave.
yeah, it's hard to leave. And
Yeah.
the longer you're away, you can see like what a beautiful place it is and you can see the other side of it. And I think when you get older as well, past the 20s into your 30s, you go, "Oh, okay, I see a different lifestyle now."
Mm-hmm.
But um what then happened when I got cancer and I was in this hospital and I had this realization, I don't know if I'm ever going to make it home. And I felt like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, like there's no place like home.
Yeah, this does
Uh,
sound like a movie.
yeah. Yeah, I just was like, "Oh my God, what if I'm never gonna get home again?" And then COVID happened, and I couldn't go home for 2 years.
Wow.
And yeah, and I think since then I've been really, like, having this urge to go home more, and obviously it creates conflict because my husband's English, we have a house and a home and a life and friends, everything here, but I can feel myself being pulled back to my home country, basically. So it's difficult. And I had this it's a really weird realization. I talked about this with my therapist when I came home, and I said to her, I was laying in the lake. I was literally just chilling in it, looking up the mountains, and I just thought to myself, I just went, I want to die here. And not, I don't mean now, and I don't mean, but it was just this moment of absolute clarity of like,
Wow.
this is where I want to end my life, you know?
Yeah.
And also, you
Yeah,
know, when
really.
I had cancer, we had this discussion about, you know, if the worst happened,
Oh, yeah.
what were my wishes? And for me, it was, I never even thought about it. My answer was like, oh, I need to go back in the ground where I came from. Like, you need to bring me back to Borks. You need to bring me back to my village, and I need to go into the woods there, into the burial. And since then, it's become even deeper because it's like, for me, there's a real connection to the land.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my family and I love seeing my friends, but it's even deeper than that.
Yeah, you have
And
to
for me,
feel it. Like I can hear it in your voice about how deep this is.
yeah, and it's a connection to my ancestors. So I was really close to my grandmother and to my aunt, both no longer here. And I really, I've learned quite a lot about the women in my family through the ages. And I just really feel It's a place that makes me feel really grounded. But could I go and live there full time? No way, Jose. That's not. No.
But you
It would
know
drive me.
that. You know, like, no,
But I
this is
know
like
that.
where I need to go. And like you kind of,
Yeah,
that's your spot to get your clarity. And like that's your
yeah,
almost like
absolutely. And so now I'm in this weird headspace where I'm going like, okay, Barbara, actually, you're in a really privileged position because for the first time in your life, you have the means to go back on the regular basis. I mean, at the grace of my parents who have to put up with me all the time. And when I go, Dad, can I have some money? Or Mum, can you buy me some food? Because it's so damn expensive to be in Switzerland, right? So I can't really afford it. I just go, hello, I'm back.
yeah, it's like
And
your daughter's here. Don't you
yeah,
want to
yeah,
like feed me and help me? Like my parents love when I go out there. Like totally.
yeah. But the thing is, they love when I get there for the first 2 days. And then I'm like, you know, I am taking up their space, you know, they've got
Okay.
a busy life. And also, you know, me and my mum, we're quite alike. And you know how, you know,
Yep.
ooh,
If it's just
yeah,
the light.
mute,
Yeah, I
mute.
get it.
And me and my mum can have a great time, but we also can have really bad times. And, you know, and sometimes I can understand my dad's turning 70 and he said this, he was like, my brother's moved back home as well. So we're all eating together. Yeah. And we're all eating together. My dad sort of just muses to himself. He's like, I'm turning 70 and both of my kids are back in my house. How the hell did that happen? So yeah, so we're trying to find solutions for that. And there might be something. We'll have to wait and see. But also it's like, I know I'm going again in a couple of weeks for my dad's 70th birthday. So when I left in the summer, there was only 5 weeks until I go again, right? Yet I sobbed. I got on the train. I sobbed. I was so sad, and it broke my heart. And there's always this. I take the train to the airport, and I actually quite enjoy it because it, you know, gives me time. And there's this train from Lucerne to Zurich, and it always when it leaves Lucerne, and that's where the mountains disappear, and basically my county sort of disappears into the distance. And I sobbed and sobbed, and I couldn't, and it hurt so much. And then when you get to the airport, between terminals, there's a little train. And in there, they have like a little display. And then there's like, quite often they show the chapel bridge of Lucerne, of the city, which is nearest to where I come from. Sort of rushes past the train. And there's some Alphorn. And then there's Heidi, who says in Swiss German, it's like, oh, it's been so lovely to have you. And then she goes, auf Wiedersehen, which basically means see you again soon. And I'm just like, it's so awful. And I said to Nick, and I was like phoning with him like before I left, and I said like, I know I'm back in 5 weeks, but it's so traumatic. And he said like, well, but it makes sense, Barbara, because you're still in a state where sometimes you're just not sure if you're going to make it back. I said, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I'm constantly anxious that I'm not going to make it back.
Yeah.
So I already said to Nick now, Nick, we need to book our next, like for next year, because otherwise I'm going to get like,
Yeah, you got to have all
twitchy.
all your dates lined up.
Yeah. And the other thing I noticed, and this is a huge one, my health is so much better. Now, it could be because it's summer. Fair enough. But I came back and I straight away had the cold again for like 3 weeks. My voice is quite husky but again, that's just autumn, right? But my fatigue, I was, I can't say I didn't have fatigue, but it was nowhere on the level of what I'm experiencing over here. And I think it's just like being able to go into this crystal clear lake and being able to go hiking and the air, or even just feeling more grounded and less stressed makes such a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
So so I'm trying to take some of that back with me, and like
It's hard.
but it's hard, and it just feels like, it almost feels like I need to go over there just to like refuel my tank, and then I come back here
Yeah.
to England.
How
and work.
long is it of a travel to get there from where you are?
Hey, in American terms, it's nothing. It takes me like a day, because I have to get. It takes me longer to get to London than it gets from London to Switzerland,
okay.
because it's quite a short. It's like up and
Okay.
what is it? 2 hours maybe on the plane max.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
definitely
You're like, oh, that's
oh.
nothing.
That's like when I go see my sister, she lives like California's here. She lives like right above, like in she's in Washington. So I'm like, oh yeah, easy plane ride. But if a long plane ride would be 4 hours for us to get to
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
Wow, so you definitely
Absolutely.
could go more. And you're
Yeah. I need to Mum, if you're listening.
Do you always want to stay? Like, I know sometimes when I go, my parents, they're like 2 hours away by car. So when we go and visit them, like sometimes like, yeah, it's nice to be with them, but I sometimes like, I like where they live, but I need to stay somewhere else. Like I have to have, but there's four of us. So when I'm there, I'm like, oh, is this a vacation place? Am I like recharging, or are my parents draining me and I need to go to another spot? But because Palm Springs is like, it's lovely. But like, do you ever feel like you want to stay somewhere else or you always want to stay at your parents? Like that's just the norm, or there might not be is there any places, is it real rural out there, or
Well, I would describe it as rural, but it's not alpine. It's not like in the middle of nowhere.
okay.
But it's definitely more on the rural side. So I mean, whilst I was
Okay.
there for 5 weeks, my parents went on holiday, and it was great to have the house to myself.
Okay, that's nice. That is nice.
Yeah, that is nice. But yeah, I don't know. So firstly, we wouldn't be able to afford to rent anything. It's the only
So
reason we
expensive
can.
there, huh?
It is so expensive. I mean, we can barely afford the food. And, Nick and I do train trips, but we are very like day trips, and we are super savvy with how we're spending our money. And it's packed lunches, and it's no restaurants. And, when we go to restaurants, it's quite often because someone's invited us, so like a godmother or an auntie or someone. And also, I'm so lucky that most of my friends just know how hard up we are in comparison to them because of the wages. I mean, it's like 3 times, right?
Yeah.
They earn 3 times the amount we earn.
Wow.
And then I only earn a fraction already because of the type of work that I do, the life that I chose. But yeah, so it's tough, and I'm really lucky that like my close friends, like, oh, Jenny, shout out to Jenny. She had me round her house so often for dinner. We helped them move into their new flat. So she's just moved in with her boyfriend, not new boyfriend. We've known him for a while, but still their first flat together, right? And I kept joking. I was like, "Oh, Remo, I'm just round your house all the time." And he's like, "Yeah, I feel like we've got a flatmate." It's like, "It's all right. I'm going home soon."
That's
But
right.
yeah, no, yeah. But it's just so lovely. And also it's lovely to, those friendships I've had since childhood and teenagehood, and to still have them is amazing as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So no, and the other thing is I am conscious like the burden I am on my parents as well by doing this, like because it is their space and they have their own routine. And also, whilst I'm there, I am working. It's not a full holiday. It's it's just a different lifestyle. It's I get up earlier, do my work earlier, and then I'm at the lake, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
A different
and
routine.
I found I was super productive, which is weird. Like had I scheduled a lot less meetings than what I have at the moment, and I was able to get through so much workload for the young Toms, which I will share on a different episode at some point. But yeah, but
Yeah,
anyhow, for
we
me, it's like at the moment, I'm just trying to really be grateful for the privilege of being able to have two places that I can count as my home, and actually enjoy this perfect setup because, it can only get more complicated if our family expands or if we get a dog or if, the job changes and becomes more demanding or the money changes. Like, I'm just always conscious we're only like one other situation away from all this being taken away. And
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's maybe the stress. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
Speaking of
yeah.
dogs.
It's like, "Huh? Hello." Yeah. No, it gets crowded here
Yeah.
fast.
And it's also difficult, like, on the relationship with Nick because he can't stay because he has to come back and work. His
Yeah.
work is in his office. So, yeah, so for us to find this balance as well where we spend we could spend this year because I went to Jordan as well, we've spent about 2 months apart of the entire year. That's a long time.
Mm. He came
Not
out to visit you when you were in Switzerland, right? Yeah, we
Yeah,
went
we
out.
went out together. So we try always that he comes like for a week or 2
Yeah.
and then he goes. Then he clears off. But also for next year, because the consequences that has been is that we've not been anywhere else.
Mm.
And,
Yeah, that's
there's a
true, huh?
there
Since your honeymoon.
there's a whole yeah. Well, yeah, we haven't. Yeah, we've not been anywhere else since our honeymoon. Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing. Like the world is a big place, and there's lots of amazing places to go and see. And I don't want to deprive Nick of his holiday by spending it with his mother and like his mother and father-in-law all
Yeah.
the time. I know he loves them, but at the same time, so it's just like trying to find this balance, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but I am not complaining because I know I'm privileged that I have this in the first place.
I'm so glad you have that because it just sounds like you're so restored when you go there. And like you talked about the fatigue, it's like you're it's sometimes like you're enjoying something and you don't think about like your body, but then like you notice the next day, I still feel good. Like I don't feel run down. So maybe it's like
Yeah,
there's
the
something in the water
recovery.
there where you're just like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's something in the water. Yeah. No, it's right. It's the recovery that is
yeah,
much quicker. But I still had to, still had to pace myself at times. Or maybe I'm just better at pacing myself in Switzerland, if I'm
yeah,
totally honest. Like I said, I didn't fill my diary with loads of meetings because I just wanted to focus on some stuff. And at the moment, oh my God, what am I doing to myself? Honestly,
oh,
it's
you overdid it.
it's ridiculous, Jamie.
You overdid it.
I I I don't know. When I book these things, I forget that I am human. And on top of that, that I really need to take better care of myself and my energy. And I've got a coach as someone who's coaching me being a CEO, and we talked about
Oh,
this. And
cool.
and even yeah, it's really helpful. But he was like, you can't continue like this. You're gonna burn out and then
Yeah.
you're no good to everyone. And I'm like, yeah, I know it. I know
Yeah, you gotta take that time to yourself and do what oh my gosh, this dog. Do what you need to do.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it gets to the point where, like, you look like, what's on your calendar and you see like, oh, I only have 3. Oh, there's a spot. You see like the chunks of time and you're like, I can fit it in. So
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, I try and fit in a lot, and it's also I already book quite a lot in, and then things come in short notice, and I go, "Oh, yeah, I'll try and fit you in."
yes.
Um, but, yeah, no, we've come up with a system, to try and protect my time a bit. Because the other thing was also, I sort of said I need at least 4 hours every day to just do work, like, just to progress
Mm,
stuff.
yeah.
But but if I book in 3 or 4 hours worth of meetings every day, I am not gonna have any time or energy to progress stuff. So, yeah, it's just figuring that out and figuring out priorities and how I manage my time, which has been really interesting, but also,
Oh yeah. It's since school started and now the kids have their winter sport. Is it winter fall? No, fall sports. And they're doing 2 different sports. Then they have after school classes. And, John goes into the office and he doesn't get home until later. So I'm with them literally all day, except for like this lovely chunk of 2 hours that I'm not there. Um, but then I try to explain to him too. I'm just like, I'm working too, but just in a different capacity and I'm never off. Like, you get to have your drive home and you get to listen to your podcast and you get to come home and sit on the couch, like where I'm doing homework with them. And then I have to do bedtime routine. So it's like, I have to put in a chart where it's like, this is a hard cutoff at 8 o'clock for me not to read an email or not to, do tech stuff or, the social committee we're doing for football and baseball. I don't know why kids have to be I thought playing the sport was a social activity. There are so many things that I'm like, what's happening? There are so many things that are added extra now into sports that I'm now realizing this is what living in Orange County, like it's for the parents, not for the kids. So I get that like trying to find a time that like him and I can sit down and like relax or go out to dinner. I'm like, I'm too tired. I like, hey, do you want to watch something? No, I'm going to bed. The kids are going to bed. I'm tired too. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like insane.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely I'll definitely share what I learn, well, from my coaching, but also, so we talked before the summer about the chronic fatigues clinic, and we got as far as I have filled out a massive questionnaire, and now it will take about 8 weeks until they get back in touch to arrange something. So I'll keep you posted in
Yeah,
terms of what the
please
progress is there
do.
and what the recommendations are.
Yeah, we all want to
And
hear.
yeah, and I'm really conscious that because I've spoken to quite a few different people now who have chronic fatigue for lots of different reasons, and it is so debilitating. And I am again
Truly.
really lucky that mine isn't. Um, I mean, it's not good, but it's not.
It's improving. Yeah.
Yeah, it's improving, and it's not that bad. But also, and I learned that it's actually something that if you don't manage it, it can really deteriorate. And you can go through these different phases where you burn the candle on both ends and then you sort of burn out, and
Yeah.
then your sort of base levels keeps going down and down. And I
Oh.
thought, oh god, yeah, this is really important that I actually take charge of this now. So
Yeah, that's a really good point. But I do want to say, like with that, like because like after finishing treatment, I was tired. I was tired a lot, and I didn't
mhm.
understand why. And then they figured out it was my thyroid, but then I was still tired, and I was like, okay, it's been 2 years, it's been 3 years. When am I going to get back to like the normal? And then when you just said like, your baseline, I was like, oh shoot, did my baseline like, oh my God.
Oh,
Okay.
uh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
we're back recording. Okay, we're back. Sorry, that was that's so chaotic.
You just felt the energy just like went through your screen and the dog knocked over your computer.
Yeah, I just had to laugh at your dog basically wanting you for lunch.
And he's huge. He's so huge. So now I let him
Yeah.
outside and I let the other one in.
So we were talking about base levels
The
of
base,
energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had, like, I remember year 1, year 2 after cancer, and, like, I did start to see an improvement, but then I plateaued. And even now, just managing all the lifelong side effects, 'cause I'm almost 5 years. I'll be 5 years June, and that's, like, the magic number. So I'm like, "Okay, is this, like, as good as it gonna get?" Because by 6 PM, I'm like, my jaw still gets sore from talking, and I feel like a lot of it's from radiation. I don't think it's surgery and all that. Um, but I still feel that, and I was like, I do stretches, I do exercises. I'm obviously talking a lot, yelling at these kids, but I'm like, "It's never, so this is gonna be where I'm at. Like, I'm just gonna live at this plateau. It's never, I'm gonna accept that." And I thought I had accepted it, like, maybe a year ago, because it was very bothersome, but now that I'm like, "Okay, I always have to do this. This is my routine." Like, I'm not angry about it. I just know I start to pace myself when it gets towards 6 PM. So I kind of feel like, even though my baseline is it's low, I kind of feel like I know how to ease into coming into, like, a landing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah, and I think I've not accepted it yet. I think that's the biggest battle,
Yeah.
is the
It's
fact that I haven't accepted my new baseline, and also the inconsistency. So like I said, over the summer, I everything was so good, and yeah, I had a bit of fatigue. Actually, I had one fatigue day, and it was really Nick noticed it, but other than that, it really wasn't that impactful. And all we did was, instead of going on another adventure, we just laid by the beach, like by the lake, and just sunned, and that was fine. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
lifestyle was different, and I definitely need to take some of that lifestyle over here to stop overloading myself. And like today has been a really good example. I've had quite a full on week. I've had 2 really good weeks, with the exception of the cold that has been, like, annoying. I had a really chesty cough and can't sleep and stuff, but, I've been really good on my food. I've been tracking all my food. I've been getting my nutrients. Um we've been going to bed earlier, which, who would have thought that would help? But hey, it does,
It
science.
really, I know, I
Hey,
know.
go to bed early, Barbara, and things get much better. Oh, Jesus. But, it's only taken 37 years for me to grasp the concept that if you sleep a bit more, you might not be quite as tired. By the side, um, I had a really demanding Saturday, and we'll talk about that in a second. Sunday was peak fatigue. I mean, pain levels, everything super sensitive. I had to have my sunglasses on. Everything hurt, including my teeth. Like just everything hurt. And it's not
Oh,
like a 9, it was like a nice somber 5 with some peaks in between, but it's still there, and
yeah.
everything's like achy, and you're like, "Oh, man." But good, I mean, shout out to Nick. It was a Sunday, it was sunny, and Nick was like, "Let's just go for a little gentle stroll. I'll buy you lunch." And I was like, "Okay." And that helped. And then I had a PT session yesterday and was surprised how well I bounced back, had a full day. And then today, super great sleep, woke up, really
Yeah.
energized. I was like, this is fantastic. Had a meeting um, with, I don't want to give too much away, but it was like a workshop. And it was really good, like, really good. I think it's propelled me forward in terms of young tongue's development by about 4 months. It's
Awesome. Really,
really
really.
helped me clarify all the ideas, all the thoughts I have, and pull them together in a strategy. And I'm like, now I'm cooking, right? Wow, this is, and it was a real energetic meeting. The people who were facilitating the workshop were amazing. And, I was on fire. I loved it. It went for 2 hours, 20 minutes, and I'm so grateful. I've taken so much. But as soon as this meeting finished, I fell off a cliff.
Oh,
I was like, this was amazing, but I am dying. I'm like, ugh. And then our car broke down as well. So a
oh
couple of days later, I had
gosh,
to do,
yeah.
yeah, I know. So I had to deal with something with that. And I hadn't had lunch yet. And I said to Nick, it's like, I need to prioritize lunch and I need a break because I can feel myself getting like when I'm already feeling that I need something, it's usually too late.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's happened. I then had lunch, and whilst I was eating, I was feeling better for like 3, 4 minutes. I was like, oh, energy levels. And
Hey.
then my body is digesting the food, and my all the energy from everything just goes to my digesting system, and I can do nothing. And I was just like, okay, make peace with it. Forget your to-do list. If you're recording with Jamie tonight anyhow, go and lay on the sofa.
Yeah.
And I watched NCIS Hawaii. and and
I
then
mean,
after that,
yeah.
I fell asleep and I've slept 4 hours.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
And I was just
gosh.
and I was just gone. And like I didn't sleep like I just slept like that on the sofa and
You
now I'm
were
also
like
but
just heavy out.
I was just out and now
Yeah.
I've woken up again and I had a banana, I'm fine. I said I'm now going to see Jamie. It's all good. But I've lost like half a day. And my list is not getting any smaller.
Oh,
It's like,
like that's a long list. That's
that
okay
isn't
though. You
I
listen to your
know,
body and you like, I'm okay. I'm gonna go
I
lay
know,
down and it's okay.
I
We
know,
talk about that all the time. It's just like to practice it, or like we want to be good examples too, but it is so hard to implement sometimes. Like, no, I used to do this all the time. I can still do this. No,
yeah, and
and you have to
and
slow down.
I know, and I know it. And then I look at my diary and I've got 3 meetings booked in tomorrow, 2 sessions booked in the day after. My Friday is mental. On top of that, we are taking my sister-in-law's dog in for like a long weekend. Well, I'm trying to fix a car. And then, you just have your general life, your
Oh,
finances or whatever else,
yeah.
your food shopping, your food planning, your whatever. And I'm just like, "Ugh."
Yeah, it's a heavy sigh of shit sometimes that we have to like, especially with car troubles. Nothing sets me off more than I'm like, really? This of all this? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
really
unfortunately, our
spiral.
car's like at the end of its life anyhow, so this is just gonna be a continuous pain until we can
No, yep,
buy
been
a new
there.
car. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the life stuff, but the trouble is I'm like going, "I can get through this, I can do this." But the pain at the end of it,
Yeah.
and then it compounds. And at the moment, all I'm thinking, "Okay, I've got 3 weeks and I'm going to Switzerland. I just need to get through these 3 weeks." But
You
then you
like
have
to work
little
on a deadline.
yeah. I need to just get through those 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I'm in Switzerland, and then for at least a week, I'm just dropping everything, and I'm just going out of office. Bye, I am not here. But there's a little devil Barbara
Mm.
that is is, like, destroying Futures Barbara's life because I'm already now booking in meetings for November and December. And actually, I need to go November, December, and January are already full. If you want to meet me, it will have to be in February. How do I say this to a person and go, "I am so sorry, I can only have so many meetings per week.
You
I
say
can
it just
only"
like that. Yeah.
I that brain it's like yeah, I know.
He says, I have
Oh,
a meeting with my couch from 1 till 4 p.m. And that's for me to recharge. If you want the best, Barbara, I have to have time for Barbara to recharge.
yeah, yeah. Well, the whole idea is once I get better management of my diary, I won't need the couch anymore because I don't overload myself in the first place, or at least not quite as many times as I do now, or
Yeah,
have
so
a quicker recovery.
you have to schedule in those breaks. Hear that,
Yeah.
everyone? You schedule in the break.
Schedule in the breaks. Yeah. Yeah, it's a learning curve. Hey, 5 years out, we're still learning. It's all part of the journey.
Yeah, and you're doing so much, and you have the experience of having gone through cancer and then starting this charity and yeah, like you said, I feel like sometimes things move really fast. Like you're now you have all these meetings until February. So it's like you're passionate about this. So you're like, no, I need to make the time for
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah.
you push, push,
Ah,
push.
and guys, I cannot tell you, I am so excited about so the plan is I'm gonna record a solo episode where I'm gonna tell you all about everything that's happened with the Young Tongs over the last year since we've become a registered charity, and what the sort of vision and the goals and where we're going with it, and also what you can
Mm.
do to be part of this change that we want to see. And I'm so excited about telling you guys all, but it's also like, oh, Barbara, you need to figure out you need to figure it out so you can communicate it. And it will come but God, patience is not my thing. It's really not. But yeah, no, it's amazing. But speaking of like people doing amazing things, I just said that we had a really big Saturday and it was so amazing because we had 5 people come together from the Young Tongues to take part in the mouth cancer awareness walk, which was organised and in support of the Mouth Cancer Foundation. Shout out to the Mouth Cancer Foundation, another charity for mouth cancer patients here in the UK. And it was a fantastic event. Um, Unfortunately, I was just a bit disorganised and I had arranged to go out the night before when I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning. Again, me and
Yeah.
my diary. It's a love-hate relationship. Nonetheless, we got to London and it was meant to be rainy, but it was a beautiful sunny day. And it was so good to see everyone. There was Ben was it was so lovely to see Ben. Ben is such a huge member of
I
our
can't wait to meet him. Like I'm always like, I'm gonna meet you one day. And I talk to him all the time. He's amazing. Shout out to Ben.
yeah. Ben is amazing, and he's coming on the podcast, everyone, so listen out for that
Yay!
episode. So lovely to see Ben. Just trying to think, we had Imo join us, who did some fantastic fundraising, and so did Chloe.
I
So
saw
Imo and
that.
Chloe, big shout out to you girls for fundraising. Thank you so much. Then myself and Dagmar and her friend. So it was really lovely to have a nice little group, and we could all chat whilst we're walking. And also meeting lots of other um, mouth cancer patients, oral cancer patients. There was one thing that was a bit of a strange experience. Um,
What?
so yeah, so
Why am I scared?
no, it's more of a personal thing, although I think, well, I know other people felt similar. So I personally actually, I used to go to these fun runs, Cancer Research UK, all the time before I had cancer, and like raised funds for like cancer charities. And, there's
You
always this moment where you're doing the warm up and then there's like a heartwarming, like moving speech. And then it's remembering the ones that aren't here anymore. And the thing is, they're talking about the cancer patients, the oral cancer patients. And I'm standing there and I'm
Yeah.
going, shit, that's me. Holy
Um,
shit, that's me. And
what,
I've not
what,
been to one of those events since I've been a patient.
wow.
And I
What-
cannot tell you how uncomfortable I felt.
Oh my gosh.
I felt this is just me, right? This is just me, and
Yeah.
I realized it straight away when, I arrived in London and I arrived there and I realized,
Yeah.
like, my body I was not within my body, and I was, like, on edge and a bit prickly, and I just really
Really?
felt really uncomfortable. And then they
Really?
give you a survivor's sash, right? So you have this sash that you can wear that says survivors, and you don't have to, right? And at first I was like, no, I cannot, I can't wear, I just didn't feel comfortable wearing it. And I can't even articulate why I felt uncomfortable. But then you have all these volunteers that come round and they go, you should go for an oral health cancer check. And I'm like, no,
No.
I really don't have to. But they're like, look at you, there's no sash. So they go like, "Oh, but you really should, this is why we're here, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I know, but I get an oral cancer check very often, very
Mm.
regularly." And then they see the scar and then they go, "Oh my God, you're a survivor." And because they are volunteers and probably not part of the community, maybe the 1, 2 people who came to chat to me weren't part of the community. It was like, "Oh my God, but you're so young." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"No shit, Sherlock."
Yeah.
Yes.
That is
And it
like
was
everyone's reaction, like, "Oh my god, I've been doing."
oh my
Yes.
and the thing is, we hear those things all the time and you sort of become immune, but it was the environment where I was like, "Oh, come on, come on. Don't say that." You're like, "Oh, you're so inspirational." I'm like, "I am not fucking inspirational. I had cancer. I had no flipping choice about it. This does not make me inspirational." Okay, I will take it. The work that I do, that makes me flipping kick ass, but not the fact that I had cancer. And it was like, I was like, cringe, and it was a bit like,
Mhm.
um and then in the end, I just was like, "Okay, I cannot deal with one more person coming up to me." So I went and I grabbed the sash and I put the survivor sash on, and everyone sort of left me alone.
Huh.
And it was fine. I actually was fine wearing it, but also it was like, I don't know. I prefer a sash for a hen party or a birthday.
That's what I think
Not
of, totally.
yeah, not like, and also like, so I already have the scars. Like, how much do I need to put it on my forehead? But then on this other flip side of being a leader of a charity and organizing this is also about raising awareness, right? And it must be really, I know it is really powerful if you're in a public space and you're doing these walks like Hyde Park. There's lots of tourists and stuff there, and all the signage is up and it says mouth cancer, and people are watching you, and then they see a young person, it says survivor, and they go, "Oh my God,"
Mhm.
from it is such a powerful image, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'm here to do my bit," but I cannot explain why I felt so uncomfortable, like, wearing it at first. I mean, I got over it, and I even have the sash now. Oh, I
Well
can show you.
well, you put it on because you wanted people to stop harassing you about getting your mouth checked.
Yeah, but
Oh,
also
okay.
it's like, and it's a nice sash, and it's like, okay, maybe,
Yeah.
but it's like, usually I wear a sash because I'm really proud of something, and I don't, and I
I
guess I
think
should be proud.
that's what the I think that's where the correlation was, like, you're like, I think of a sash, like, yeah, totally, like, bachelorette party or a birthday, like yeah, and so maybe, like, you're we know how shitty it was going through it, so, like, parading around like I'm a certain like, "No, do you know how bad this sucked having to, like, be like, get through it and be like"
Yeah.
to
I
maybe
you know
that's
what?
what it was.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's also another point. And again, by the way, I just want to caveat that I am not poo-pooing sashes for survivors. I think they are a great tool, and actually, I was fine wearing it. But it just took me a moment to get over it. And you know what it is? I was standing in front of this bandstand when they were having the speech about how hard it is to have oral cancer. And for a really long time, I've almost not confronted it that is applicable to me. But what followed was they read out a list of all the people who didn't make it. And I'm wearing this like, ha ha, I made it. And
Survivor's
I
guilt.
know, yeah, I know this is not the intention of it,
Yeah.
but that's what happens in my head because we have lost people in this community. We keep losing people in this community. And
Ye
it's like, I don't know, getting the survivor badge, on one hand, is really important because it tells people that you need a bit of help and it informs people with what you've gone through.
yeah.
But on the other hand, it's also like, I sometimes just feel like so disrespectful towards those that aren't here.
Yeah. 'Cause they did everything that you did, right? And they'll treat like, how come they didn't make it? I know, it's hard to think about that, and especially in your position being a CEO, and you're gonna have to talk about it a lot about and confronted Alana about it.
Mm,
About, you know,
yeah. You know, this
her-
it's another thing that happened, recently. Um, Again, it's a privilege, but I received a goodbye message. Um, or, yeah, it was, I'm waiting for the news basically to come, but I got a goodbye message and um, I feel so privileged to have the opportunity to receive it, to firstly, the privilege that this person took the time to inform me that things were not looking good.
yeah. It's like, preach, preach. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like, hey, um, she just has a lot to say right now.
Yeah,
Mabel,
she has.
Mabel,
Mabel,
Mabel.
calm down, Mabel.
A little,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so the privilege that I was chosen to receive that message. Also, you know, having the ability to say goodbye is a privilege in itself.
Isn't it?
Um,
Yeah, yeah. Because
I just
a lot of people don't have that.
No,
Yeah.
no, I just actually, lost a friend from back home a week ago. Just dropped dead.
Oh my
Just stopped.
gosh.
Just heart just stopped. Fairly
Oh
fairly
my
young person.
gosh.
Yeah, and it just
Oh,
just happened. And there was no goodbye. There was no warning, right?
yeah.
So you're sort of like battling with these emotions of going like, well, actually, this person has been able to say goodbye and is, even though it's always too, you know, there's never enough time and it's always too early.
Uh,
Um, yeah, and yeah, I had a little cry and I was upset, but I'm just so really grateful that I'm in. This person said thank you as well, which was like,
you're doing so, like, you helping so many people because remember when we went through it, like, it's a lot. I had no one to talk to, and now you have this community,
mm,
and we're making a difference,
mm,
and you've made a difference in their lives and reaching
yeah,
out,
I have,
having the ability to take like that message. Like without you, it would have been a lot harder.
yeah. Yeah, well, the community. Let's be
Yeah,
honest. I'm just organising it, but the community.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but also, it really lights a fire in terms of what I want us to achieve and what the changes that I want us to create and influence and impact. And you know what we
These-
already do is awesome. The patient support, um, even in its sort of state as it is at the moment with the Facebook group and some social media, which is quite, basic. And then going through an upgraded iteration of that in the next year to come. But beyond that, there is so much that we can influence and change, which is really, I'm starting to realize, like, for a long time, I thought to myself, "Oh gosh, Barbara, your dreams are so big. There is no, like, don't get your hopes up," sort of thing. But I'm starting to realize, no, no, hold on. These things are happening.
yeah,
Will take a lot longer than what I think it will, but these are things are happening, and
emotion.
that's the hope. Yeah, and that's the hope that we need to, and the positivity that we need to hold on to. So, yeah, yeah, it's been an interesting summer, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff happened, and a lot of stuff didn't happen. And like, we need to. Sometimes it's okay to slow down and just lay by the beach in the lake. I'm telling you, every time I see that post and you're just like in the water, I'm like, and I gotta be there. I just want to do that. Eh,
You know what? I've been getting so many messages from people going like, "Oh, Switzerland's on my travel list now," and I'm like, "Yeah,
Oh,
I'm an influencer
yeah.
finally." I
We
don't have
made
enough
it.
followers. Megan, I don't have enough followers, but I am influencing. I am most
Wow,
definitely.
you oh,
I think
totally.
The Swiss Tourism Board should seriously send me some free trips because it's bloody expensive going to these
They
places.
should because of your post. I'm like, "This looks like a painting," and then after hearing that, like, "Oh, I feel so good there," I'm like, and I wanna get in that water. There's something in that water. I gotta get in that water and just rejuvenate, restore, like, it just seems like it's just still, like,
Yeah.
it's just a painting.
Yeah, and you know what? That's really true. It is so much calmer. Um, and you could go to Switzerland and have a busy life. Don't get me wrong. All of my friends are really have really busy lives, but you can also find like these pockets of real stillness and calmness.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, I can find this here in Norfolk as well. It's just
Oh,
making time for it.
cut that part out. No, no.
Anyhow, right. So we've done our summer recap episode, which has
Yeah.
been a bit all over the place, which
We
is
just love
fine,
chatting with you guys, like, if you've been
And
listening
me
thus far.
exactly, and me and Jamie needed to catch up for a while anyhow,
Yeah.
so you've been in our living rooms with us, um, listening in. Now, let me tell you what we've got coming up. In the next episode, we have an awesome patient interview with a lady called Callie,
Mhm.
who's originally from South Africa but now lives in Cornwall in the UK. She's got a brilliant story to share with you. After that, I shall be publishing my solo episode with an update on all things Young Tongues, by which point me and Jamie hopefully will have caught up again.
We will.
Um, we will. And then we also already have ready for you another fantastic interview, patient interview with Muzz from London. Our first male
Yep.
patient, male guest. Lovely chap. I've met him before, and actually get oh god, Jamie, it gets a bit emotional at the end. Oh, I turn into a right proud mama. I get all teary. I'm like, what is happening to me? The hormones are all over the place. But yeah, no,
I love
very,
it. I
very,
love it.
very proud. So yeah, and please, as always, keep giving us your reviews, 5-star if possible. just a little prompt. But also make sure you follow us on social media. I am sharing loads of posts at the moment about signing up to our mailing list. If you haven't done that yet, please sign up. We've got some real big new stuff coming out, and we want to make sure that as many people as possible are signed up to our mailing list so we can contact you beyond the realm of social media. Yeah, and if you don't already follow us, I mean, what the hell are you doing? Follow us on Instagram at
Get
Young
it
Tongue
together.
Global. Indeed, come on, guys.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So on that note, Jamie, thank you so much. It's been so lovely to see you again.
Oh, I'm so happy we caught up. And again, I'm so grateful for everyone listening. And yes, reach out to us on social media. If you want to be on the podcast, also reach out. We are
Yeah,
open.
drop us an email to podcast at youngtonguesglobal.com.
There it is.
So yeah, well, we are now booked out till January or February. But yeah, get in touch. We've got spots coming up for next year where we'd love to hear and share your story. There was one more thing. What was that one more thing? I can't remember. I think we're just going to say goodbye at this point, and
Yeah.
I'll.
Thanks for thanks for catching up with us. And we will see you guys next week.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.